Welcome to Covers His Puck Props, 14-year NHL vet Carlo Colaiacovo.
Hello.
Sports Interaction plus 1.45 units last week. He's like, how did I lose Thursday with those points, guys? That's right.
Yeah.
Remember that, right? And plus 5.1 units on the season. NHL's been bad to me overall, but the show has been profitable. So let's keep it going, pal. Two-game slate. Absolutely love them.
I love the small slates. Love them.
Who
Absolutely love them.
I would rather dig into a 2-game slate than
a 12-game slate.
Yesterday was a 12-game slate. Yeah.
See, this is sort of the discipline that I have trouble with. On small game slates, I'm able to hit like
5 plays on a 1 game.
Yeah. Well, not just that, like hit single plays, right? Yeah. When I see a 12-game slate, I'm like, I want to put in a nice parlay. And parlays kill me. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I want to hit a $50 parlay, which I did on the weekend, that pays $6,500. And it did. It did.
Whoa.
Saturday night, I had 6 teams all under the totals, and it all came in.
Oh, he's going against the grain. He's going 6-leg parlays, but all unders. Wow.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of guys out there doing that. Nice Calgary pick from Darren. Absolutely. The Kings are in trouble, and the Kings might be clinging to a playoff spot with Calgary, a team that, like, since the trade, I think they're 7-3. I think it's put a fire under them. No one wants to get traded. Markstrom doesn't want to get traded. And now they could put the front office in a tough spot
or maybe, like trades open up new opportunities, right? You're asking different guys to play bigger roles, and that's what leads to, or maybe the expectation, is.
Or maybe nobody liked Elias Lindholm.
Maybe.
No, I don't know the guy. I'm just throwing it out. But now you see the team rolling 3 lines solidly. You got the Zari, Pospisil, and Kadri line that's looking good, and then you got the good checking Backlund and Coleman line, and then you have the scoring line with the Huberdeau and Kuzmenko if he's back. Let's go, John. Good morning.
The chat is horny with some plays today already. I love it.
Yes, anyone from the Jackets 2 line. AB's already talking about the Russian line in Columbus. Absolutely love it. Good morning to everybody there in the chat. Like to see everybody fired up. Good morning to Adam. As always, Darren, please like and subscribe to the stream. Let's get to it. 2-game slate. Let's start with the early one, which is, let's start with the late one first. St. Louis, Edmonton. Let's go over 6.5, minus 105. Minus 105. I mean, some people just look at overs or unders and just hit the price and just hit it. Oh, minus 125. I don't care. Minus 130. I don't care. But minus 105 for this is a pretty tasty spot if Edmonton, which they look like, are back to their October-November form of being a loose hockey team. They're still being priced as that heater team that kept teams under to 3 goals consecutively. Now they're not. Both teams score 3 goals, has hit in 7 of their last 10 games since the All-Star break. This is a team that is a dead over team right now. Stuart Skinner is not playing great. If they give up a lead, they have the offense to come back and pick it up. And a big part of this is their special teams. I mean, I got it 65% PK, 31st in the month of February for Edmonton. That is not conducive of a winning team. And the power play is at 30%. So we could see a lot going here. St. Louis can score on the PP, and we'll get back to it. Do you think Edmonton is back to what they are? Like, the winning streak can be there, but do you think they're more of this dead over team as opposed to that 15, 16 game heater where they were hitting unders?
Yeah, because look, over a course of a season, you write a book of who you are, right? And the teams that have to scout, your upcoming matchup are looking for different ways to expose you. And I think a lot went right for Edmonton during that streak, but there's that old saying, regression to the mean, right? It's hard to sustain that over the course of a full season. And at some point you end up coming back to who everybody thinks you are. And Edmonton's problem right from the start has always been the way this team plays defense and their goaltending, whether it's good or whether it's bad. When it's good, you see them play to the unders. When it's bad or average, you see them not just score goals. They score goals because of the necessity of the other team scoring goals. But I think that we're past that stage right now where, coming out of the All-Star break, there was a lot of rust and a lot of pace that guys needed to catch up to. Now everyone's back into form again, and we're seeing a lot more goals being scored across the NHL. All the teams that were favoring unders in their plays have been involved in a lot of over games right now.
As you mentioned before we aired, Winnipeg also in that boat of So there's a little value there. AB says Bouchard 2 points. We saw St. Louis is on the second game of a back-to-back. Hofer was in net, so we'll probably see Binnington. His numbers haven't been great of late, but St. Louis won 6-3 at home just 14 days ago. They went 2 for 8 on the PP. Edmonton went 1 for 3, 32 total penalties and minutes. So we could see lots of power play opportunities. Stuart Skinner, last 7 starts, 3-4, 4.04 goals against.
Oh, look who's hit the chat.
Please, I
look who hit the chat. He's back.
Blue Jackets.
He's back.
Let's see what Sports Interaction has on that. Let's see what Sports Interaction has on that price as Joe, who's 2-0 so far.
There needs to be a siren that goes off in our chat every time Joe hits the chat.
Minus 115, minus 110. Seeing that there. Yeah. Columbus. We'll get to it, but he's sniffing right absolutely there. So goals, St. Louis, Edmonton, like it. There's a path to the over with St. Louis just getting 2 goals, but I think St. Louis could put up a 3-pack. Second game of back-to-back. Not a Alberta back-to-back, but a Winnipeg, Edmonton back-to-back, which is a little crap here.
And look, there's always a higher sense of urgency when you're playing on a back-to-back and you lose the first one. There's always the narrative, back-to-back games. But as a player, playing on that team that lost, knowing what your opponent is going to bring to, everybody who plays Edmonton probably knows that they've got to be in store for one of 2 things. Either Edmonton being capable of scoring a lot of goals, so you've got to pick up your offense, or finding a way to shut down Edmonton's star players, which isn't an easy task on a night-to-night basis. So with St. Louis, their mindset is, hey, man, we lost last night against Winnipeg. We got to bring our A game and be prepared to play a higher level and try to find a way to score more goals, which is why I like the extra incentive on the over as well.
All right, let's get a cheeky little prop in here. Bob Thomas, power play point, plus 270. Half a unit. I did like Kyrou at plus 300 and Torrey Krug, I believe, plus 400. Also options in that spot. But 7 power play points last 8 game for the centerman. He's also a centerman who gets to be the centerman on the PP, but also gets to be one of the touch guys on the half wall. So that's a big difference between being a centerman and just being a net front guy. But that's priced in here, obviously. St. Louis, 27% PP since the All-Star break. That's a great number. Edmonton, 31st in PK since the All-Star break.
Wow.
65%, bro. And when you're as good, we talk about it a lot, when you're as good as the Edmonton power play is and you score, we call it, I don't know, there's terms in gaming like rubber band. So when one team gets one, the other team gets one, and it kind of goes back and forth. So we could see lots. Like St. Louis had 8 power play opportunities in the last meeting 2 weeks ago. They went 2 for 8. That is a lot. So hopefully something there. Lots of touches for Thomas. Draws, like I said, and gets a lot of touches there. Kyrou plus 300, Krug plus 400 also in play. Let's get to the game that's got the chat. And Joe, all horny here. Let's go. Jackets, Rangers. There's a lot to unpack in this game. And we're going right out of the gate over 6.5 even money. You might think, Josh, well, the Rangers are 9-1 in their last 10. They're playing great. Great winning usually leads to under hockey. Well, guess what? all
dressed chips got them. They got him. They got you.
Yeah, that wasn't in the loop. That's not Mick or Carlo here. Old Josh was munching on a small bag of all dressed chips, and they're like, "You're gonna get dry throat." I'm like, "No, I won't." Well, I
got him.
Dang it. Jackets, Rangers, over 6.5. The issue with the Rangers is the underlying metrics for this team at 5-on-5, which I know doesn't get Carlo very excited, are absolutely terrible. Like, their expected goal numbers aren't bad. They're like bottom 2 in the league bad at 5-on-5. They're giving up 35 shots per game over the last 10 games, which is a number only better than San Jose. This is a team that is number 1 in shooting percentage at 5-on-5 and number 2 at save percentage. Those are, you talk about regression to the mean, Carlo. Those are numbers that will come back down. And we saw it in the last game where Columbus skates out to a 4-2 win at home as plus 150 dogs. There's a lot to like in Columbus right now. And we look at metrics, number 1 in hockey, expected goals at 5-on-5 since the All-Star break. I mean, home and home is here, but what kind of adjustments do you see being made to the Rangers? And do you put any validity when I say those metrics? And it's going to catch up to them.
Yeah.
Do you put any validity in that for a person who doesn't love the expected goal metric?
You have to. I mean, like, it's almost expected that and we've seen multiple scenarios of it throughout this season where there's been a number of teams that have hit these long winning streaks, right? And in those long winning streaks, they're finding ways to get wins, but aside from the Edmonton Oilers metrics when they were on their 17-game winning streaks, those were actually impressive. But everybody else's metrics don't really meet the results that they're getting. So when they start losing games, they're losing it because those metrics are starting to catch up to them. And I think the same can be said about the Rangers. And look, it was only one game that they lost, and it was a bad schedule spot for them in Columbus on the weekend because it was a back-to-back after they had that primetime game on Saturday afternoon where is it Adam Rempe? Is that his first name? Adam Rempe, the fighter, made a name for himself where he fought Delorier and then scored the game-winning goal. So it was a tough spot for Rangers to be in. They ended up suffering the loss. But what I'm curious to see right now is what type of response. And usually the response gives you a better indication of what the team really is. If they come out and play a dominant game, then yeah, it was just a blip. If they come out and have another soft game, well, then you start to worry, okay, there's some of these metrics that are creeping into their game that are actually exposing more than they want to about who they are as a team. So Matt Rempe. And I keep thinking when I see Rempe, I keep referencing the name Adam Renkkamp, who's in our chat. Right? That's why I get the Adam. Let's not forget, like, Columbus is no pushover. And when I say no pushover, yeah, they're a team that's not as talented as most teams, but they compete and they find themselves in these high-scoring games against teams they play against on a nightly basis.
Just seeing, I'm getting even producer Mick threw out on the chat that I got beat up by the all-dressed chips. But thanks. Yeah, no, it is, and it should be noted that in that game, Columbus dominated. They finished with over 5 expected goals to 2.97, and it was a 6.5 total. It could have gone over, and luckily, in that same sense, New York was bailed out by massive save percentage over expected. So Lafreniere shots it certainly is a solid look. I didn't dig into that in that situation, but we've been riding. We wrote it last week. It's been good. Can he really fight again? Like if I had to set the line, but is he that young and that hard to like? To make a name for himself, where he's like, you can't do it again. He's like, watch me do it.
Well, my suggestion to him is not because I don't think he's capable of doing it.
Just don't take another more.
Yeah, like I just think that it's not easy fighting in the NHL, and especially not easy when you're fighting established heavyweights.
Yeah,
and to do it consecutively on a night-to-night basis, at some point, it's going to take a toll on himself. And clearly, he got the worst of it against Olivier, who he's going to be facing tonight. You know, the thing I really question is how much pride this Rempe kid has, because it's his first game at home, and the fans are probably going to want to see the Rempe show, or the Rempire State Building, is what most people are calling him. And
he's got to fight.
Is that going to take over his whole philosophy when it's like, okay, I know I shouldn't fight, but if this is my opportunity to show the fans who I am and what I can do I go do it, even though, like, think about how much better I'll look in front of the fans if I fight and beat the crap out of a guy when when one of my eyes is already closed shut because of a shot that I took in the face. So, look, this is something, speaking from experience, I think this guy should tone it down a bit and just let the game come to him, because he's already made a name for himself. He doesn't need to go out and fight a heavyweight every game.
First game at MSG, bud.
I know. Like, that's what I worry about this kid, because that Olivier kid that gave it to him last game, you know, he's no slouch, man. That guy is, you know, legitimately tough regardless of his size. So you just hope he makes the smart decision on this one.
Yeah, the Lafreniere shot on goal market has kind of crumbled to like minus 145 at Sports Interaction. But as David CK7 points out, 9-1 to the over in his last 10 games. So decent hit rate, I would assume there. I mean, if the people at Sports Interaction, if they could put out props for will this person get a 5-minute major penalty, would that not be fun betting?
Yeah, 100%. Right? You bet on fighters?
Yeah, give me major penalties. Or
I know a bunch of guys in the league that I can message.
Not a fighting penalty, he just gets a 5 in a game. Or
something. Yeah, I know a bunch of guys in the league that I can message saying, "Hey, man, might be a good night for you."
Easy, bud. Yeah. We're not out here colluding. No. Yeah, for all extensive purposes, we don't have that.
No, I'm obviously joking when I say that.
Yeah. Cool. Hey, can you fight today? I got 50 bucks on the game. Yeah. I would bet, especially tonight, like, that would be a game I'd want to look at to see, because, I mean, the odds would have to be plus money. They'd have to be plus 200, I would think, for him to fight, which first game ever. Yeah. All right. Over 6.5 in that game. And then finally, for everybody there in the chat, we're getting going. Andy's stream. We've been talking about it. I was on there Friday. Didn't let you come. We'll let you come next time.
You jerk.
I know. Your day sounded so busy, like your weekend. I didn't want to bother you. Yeah. But this second line in Columbus is absolutely there's so much to like about it. The Russian line, Marchenko, Voronkov, and Chinnikov. And today we are targeting Chinnikov. Over 2.5 shots, plus 115, half a unit. A point, plus 135, half a unit. Splitting the unit up on both sides because I can't decide, but I like to do it when both are plus money. Like I said, big fan of this line. It's getting going. He leads the team. This is a very underrated shooter. He leads the team in shot attempts per 60. Carlo, this guy is shooting more per 60 minutes than Kyle Connor, Zach Hyman, Jonathan Marchessault, and Jack Eichel, all guys who have shot on goal markets of 3.5.
Wow.
I like the angle of the second line on the road, because the second line usually gets the better matchups. The first line, the Gaudreau line will probably get the better defensive matchups versus the Rangers. Chinnikov, 11 points in his last 13 games, over 2.5 shots on goal, is 10-5 to the over in the last 15 games that he started and finished. And back to that idea of like targeting second lines on the road, do you think there's a merit to it? Like, how much harder is it for a top line to get a good defensive matchup when they don't have last change?
Well, it's hard, and it's sometimes not necessary, right? I mean, the focus for the coaches is always to try to get the matchup against the top pairing, which sometimes plays to the advantage of the second line, because at home, the home team dictates who goes on against which team. So if Columbus throws their second line on an offensive zone faceoff, well, you know, their top matchup pairing is not going to be on the ice. So that does favor them for sure.
Now, AB's saying he's all excited. They split the power time pretty evenly. Yes, they do. And the beauty about this Columbus team, they keep those guys together. It's the three of them, and they all play together on the power play too as well.
Oh,
So they're
wow.
split up.
Okay.
Yeah, so like they play every shift basically together. I don't know.
It's good chemistry.
Yeah, I didn't want to sound prejudiced or anything, but I'm like, I don't know if those Russians are playing on the PK together. Surprised they aren't. No, they don't get the PK. We're seeing Teixeira, Danforth, and Sillinger on the forwards as there. So those guys are playing every shift together at 5-on-5, at 5-on-4. So let's go Chinnikov there for over 2.5 shots and a point. I mean, they've been something to back. So 4 plays in the book.
Stay hot. Yep.
2 games. Quick little recap here. The over 6.5, St. Louis, Edmonton, -105. And then Bob Thomas for a power play point, half a unit, plus 270 in that game.
Can I just ask something?
Yes, you may.
What's McDavid's assist prop?
Oh, it's, I would say -200.
Is it?
Oh, yeah. He's.
How about him to record 2 or more assists?
I don't believe SA has that market. He has.
Okay, so then 2 points. What's McDavid 2 points?
Let's find out. I mean, Kucherov did get some. McKinnon got some yesterday.
Yeah.
McKinnon, but
well, because I just think that, coming off of that comment the other day when somebody asked him,
-135 for over 1.5 points.
It's a good line to hit too. McDavid has 23 assists in his last 10 games.
Yeah,
he's averaging 2 points a game, and obviously
-250 for an assist.
Wow. Because there's a lot of attention right now about people talking, can he hit 100 assists? He's got 70 assists right now. He needs 30 points in the next 26 games. Sorry, he needs 30 assists in the next 26 games to eclipse 100 assists, something he hasn't done his whole career. Even in a season last year where he had 153 points, didn't get 100 assists.
Was that an email? Did you get that in an email? That sounds like an email.
Did you or no? It's called research.
Oh, are you have you been running them for your dump and chase?
Yeah, so we do we did a power play segment with him yesterday.
Nice.
With that being the focus. So yeah.
But
he's Darren Folks points out that's plus 185 for 2 assists.
That's like if I'm not paying -135 for the points, but I'll pay plus 185 for 2 assists.
Yeah.
No, yeah. That's a much better market to look at. I mean, because he's what they brought Draisaitl up to that line. Now it's Draisaitl and Hyman. Fogel's off that line, so it's a stronger line. And now
point night for McDavid.
Could be. Let's hope it's point night for everybody, especially the second line in Columbus. But let's do that with the second one. We do have Columbus Rangers over 6.5 as I finish the recap. And Igor Chinnikov, Columbus second line player, over 2.5 shots on goal, half unit plus 115, and a point plus 135 for the other half unit. Let's leave it at that. Back tomorrow at 10 with hopefully some winners in our pockets. Appreciate everybody there in the chat. You guys are gems. Appreciate producer Mick. Big thanks there. Don't forget to hit that like button if you already haven't, and we'll see you back here tomorrow, 10 a.m. Lead us out, pal.
See you tomorrow. Ciao.